My name's Zeo, and oh my goodness, has it really been 5 years? Wow, I guess so. First off, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for such a momentous milestone. 5 years ago today, I took the first steps on a journey that began with a promise. I had wanted to try this streaming and content creation thing for a hot minute, but could never really bring myself to take those first steps. I did have another YouTube channel, but I just uploaded whatever to it pretty much and hadn't uploaded anything to it since 2008. I have a nephew who was in diapers back then. Now he's in high school. It had a couple of Fantasy Star Universe videos, some other random games, Final Fantasy XI. I lost access to that account unfortunately and I couldn't get it back. Then fast forward to about 2019. I start feeling convicted to do the thing again. Streaming on Twitch had been around for a while too, and I thought that might be fun. I hated how I sounded, then come to find out most people do. Then one day I'm cruising YouTube looking at stuff for Final Fantasy XIV, and I come across this YouTube channel called Game Musings with Raziel. This was just before Shadowbringers came out. He put out a video about tanking anxiety, and one of the pieces of advice that he put forth was, stop being a pussy. The main takeaway from that video was to stop being afraid of something that you maybe always wanted to try, but other things got in the way. Like you may be afraid of how you might do and how others might respond to that. That got me thinking, yo, that could be applied to so many other things in life, like streaming maybe, content creation maybe. That also got me to thinking, how many people have had things that they'd always wanted to do, but never brought themselves to take those first steps. Like, maybe I'll start that business, maybe I'll marry that girl or that guy, but they never do it. And then fast forward a few decades, then they're trapped in this web of regret. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I didn't want that to be me, and I realized I wasn't getting any younger, so I picked a date and stuck to it. I promised myself I'd stay with it for at least a year, come what may. And then if nothing came of it by the time that year rolled around, I could walk away with no regrets. I had the name Zeo RPG because I mainly covered RPGs. November 11th is Veterans Day here in the US, and it was also the day in 2019 that an old favorite game of mine called Romancing Saga 3 finally got localized. This was an old Super Famicom RPG that never left Japan back in the day. It got a fan translation, but it also got an HD remaster in 2019 that finally did get an official localization. My first few streams were of that, and of course, hardly anyone watched. So after that, I started experimenting with a number of things. Old game randomizers? Nope. Final Fantasy XI? Nope. Final Fantasy XIV? Nope. Echo. That was over the course of 4 months maybe. And then PSO2 had finally come out officially in North America on Xbox One, but I didn't have an X-Brick and I wasn't about to invest in one, so I just went back to my JP account. That's when things started to click and I was like, this is it. It was still very much an uphill battle for a while as I was still figuring things out and finding my footing. And then one day I see this streamer called Ninja Cheeto and his character's name was Thunder Thighs, and I was like, wait a minute. Where have I seen that before? I'd bumped into this guy on several occasions throughout my time on JP, but we never once interacted with each other, and to this day I'm not even sure why. So he wound up being one of my earliest supporters. Fun fact, he was actually the first person to ever raid me on Twitch. I tried different things on YouTube, but nothing was really sticking. I'd post something on YouTube and I'd be happy if it got maybe 20 or 30 views. I was ecstatic if it broke 100. And then it got me thinking, okay, what part of PSO2 content hasn't already been done to death? Then I saw that no one was really talking about lore, like what are photons, who is Shion, this, that, and the third. I was like, okay, this is it. I needed something catchy, so that led to, my name is Zeo, and I'll be your lore keeper. I actually took that from someone in the FF14 community. Her name was Ms. Tech, and her channel was named MTQ Capture, and she was known for putting out dungeon and raid guides for FF14. She'd always start each video with, "My name is Ms. Tech, and I'll be your dungeon guide." And I was like, yo, that's catchy. When you really think about it, everything's a derivative of something else, more or less. Like Hulk Hogan back in the day, he got his shtick from superstar Billy Graham, and Billy Graham probably adapted his dealie from someone else. PSO2 Lore was my final trump card. If that flopped after a few videos like everything else did, then I was pretty much done. Then those started popping off. I was like, holy shit, the Lore Keeper thing stuck. The streams were still hit or miss though in terms of viewership, though I imagine that was largely due to time and the fact I still played on JP. It hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows though, as nothing truly is. Of course you had the periods of tremendous self-doubt and wondering if I was even cut out for any of this shit. And then there were some missteps surrounding my personal views that alienated some certain folks, which in turn led to some stunted growth and a few missed opportunities. Because of that, there are folks who still, to this day, think I have a swastika tattooed on my forehead. It did show me who my real friends were when that shit resurfaced later on. It taught me that no one needs to know everything about me. Let people think whatever the hell they want about you. 99% of the relationships you'll have doing this shit are parasocial. And then you had getting kicked off JP last year, which I'll admit was the result of my own hubris and indiscretion. That wound up turning into a major boon though, with the Zeoda Party Planner DJ arc. Those experiences did teach some valuable lessons though. It's always when stonks are down that we learn who our true friends are and what we're truly made of. So once again, big thanks to Almighty God from whom all my blessings flow. And of course, big thanks to all of you who make this whole thing possible. Big shout out to everyone who's been with me through thick and thin this whole time. It really truly means the world to me. So here's to another year. Hopefully we're not under a Civil War-induced martial law thanks to the deep state crazies. Hopefully Twitch is still around. I know there have been calls for Dan Clancy to step down, and I know there's been talk of either a sale or a shutdown of that platform in recent months. I can see a sale, but not a total shutdown. Fuzzy sucks, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Once again, biggest of love, biggest of thanks, biggest of shoutouts to the Zeoverse, past and present and future. And remember, to the notes all be true. Until next time, farewell.